Welcome back as we take you to a very deep and amazing journey of relaxation of bedtime story. Please like and subscribe to the channel so we can get your request on a story you want to listen to. Before we start, make sure you are very comfortable and in a very warm spot. Take a deep breath and make sure to focus your mind entirely on your breathing, forgetting about your worries in this short while, as you get the best treatment you can give your brain. Okay, let's begin. In the whispering shadows of an ancient forest where the moonlight danced like silver threads through the canopy, a young girl named Vasilisa wandered under the vast night sky, her footsteps crunching softly on the fallen leaves that carpeted the ground like a quilt of autumn hues. The air was filled with the gentle rustle of branches swaying in the breeze, each movement creating a soothing symphony that echoed through the trees, inviting her deeper into the dreamlike realm where stars twinkled above like distant fireflies. Vasilisa had heard tales of Baba Yaga, the enigmatic witch who dwelled in a hut that stood on chicken legs, a place where magic wove through the very fabric of the night, and she sought the wise one's guidance to find her lost family heirloom, a glowing amulet said to hold the secrets of forgotten dreams. As she ventured further, the forest seemed to come alive with sensory wonders, the cool mist brushing against her skin like a feather's touch, the faint scent of pine and wildflowers mingling in the air, and the distant hoot of an owl adding a rhythmic pulse to the serene darkness. Inventive subplots unfolded in her mind as she imagined the hut's legs scratching the earth with a soft, ASMR-like scratching sound, almost like nails gently tapping on wood, drawing her closer to the heart of the mystery. The path twisted and turned, illuminated by bioluminescent mushrooms that glowed with a soft, ethereal light, casting patterns on the ground that resembled constellations fallen from the heavens, guiding her through the velvet night toward the legendary abode. Baba Yaga's hut was no ordinary dwelling. It perched on enormous chicken legs that clucked faintly in the quiet, their feathers rustling with a whispery texture that evoked the calm of a starry evening, and as Vasilisa approached, the legs bent slightly, lowering the hut with a creaking groan that resonated like a lullaby in the moonlit clearing. Inside her thoughts, she pictured the witch brewing potions from midnight herbs, each bubble popping with a delicate fizz that tingled the senses, blending scents of lavender and chamomile that wafted through the air like invisible threads of enchantment. The forest creatures watched from the shadows, their eyes reflecting the moonlight, adding to the immersive tapestry of the scene where every leaf's vein pulsed with hidden magic. Vasilisa's heart raced with anticipation, but the night's embrace felt protective, wrapping around her like a soft blanket under the endless canopy of stars. Deeper into the woods, she encountered a talking birch tree, its bark smooth and whispering secrets of ancient dreams, revealing a subplot where the tree had once been a guardian spirit cursed by a forgotten spell, now aiding travelers with riddles that unlocked paths to hidden glades filled with fireflies dancing in synchronized patterns. The tree's voice was low and resonant, like the gentle hum of a tuning fork, providing ASMR cues that made the leaves shiver with a silky rustle, enhancing the dreamlike atmosphere as moonlight filtered through, painting silver streaks on the forest floor. Vasilisa solved the riddle about the cycle of night and day, earning a map etched on a leaf that glowed faintly, leading her straight to Baba Yaga's domain. Along the way, she crossed a babbling brook where the water trickled over smooth stones with a melodic gurgle, the sound so crisp and inviting that it seemed to wash away the day's remnants, leaving only the purity of the nocturnal adventure. Fireflies hovered nearby, their lights pulsing in rhythm with her breaths, creating a visual symphony that mirrored the stars above, while the scent of damp earth and blooming night flowers filled her nostrils, grounding her in this magical journey. As she neared the hut, The chicken legs scratched the ground with deliberate, soft scrapes, each one echoing like a whispered invitation into the world of wonders. Baba Yaga herself emerged from the door, her eyes sharp yet kind under the moonlight, her robes flowing like shadows woven from the night sky, and she welcomed Vasilisa with a voice that crackled like dry leaves underfoot, promising aid in exchange for a task that would test the girl's courage in this dream-filled forest. The hut spun slowly on its legs, revealing hidden compartments where potions simmered with a bubbly hiss, their vapors curling up like misty dreams ascending to the stars. Vasilisa stepped inside, feeling the wooden floor creak beneath her feet with a satisfying, tactile warmth, surrounded by shelves lined with jars of glowing essences that hummed faintly, adding to the ASMR immersion of the scene. Subplots branched out as Baba Yaga shared stories of her own youthful adventures, including a time when she tamed a flock of dream birds that sang melodies capable of weaving visions of peaceful slumbers, their feathers soft and iridescent under the hut's lantern light. The witch's mortar and pestle ground herbs with a rhythmic grinding sound, releasing aromas that danced in the air like invisible sprites, while outside, the night wind whispered through the trees, carrying echoes of distant wolf howls that blended harmoniously with the hut's clucking legs. Vasilisa listened intently, her senses alive with the textures and sounds, the smooth polish of the wooden table, the faint crackle of the fire in the hearth casting flickering shadows that played across the walls like living dreams. In her inventive twist, Baba Yaga revealed a hidden garden behind the hut, where flowers bloomed only under moonlight, their petals unfurling with a velvety rustle that invited touch, each bloom holding a droplet of dew that sparkled like captured stars. Vasilisa helped tend the garden, her fingers brushing against the soft leaves, feeling the gentle vibrations of growth in the night air, as fireflies landed softly on the blossoms, their light syncing with the hut's rhythmic movements. The story deepened with a subplot involving a lost spirit fox that Baba Yaga had befriended, its fur as soft as silk, brushing against Vasilisa's hand with a tingling sensation that evoked waves of calm, its eyes reflecting the moon's glow like pools of liquid silver. Together, they embarked on a mini-quest within the hut's enchanted bounds, searching for ingredients to brew a potion that would reveal the amulet's location in a vision of starry dream. Continuing the tale in the Enchanted Forest, Vasilisa followed the spirit fox's glowing trail through the winding paths where moonlight filtered through the leaves like threads of silver silk, casting intricate patterns on the ground that shifted with each gentle breeze, creating a visual dance that mesmerized the eye. The air carried the faint, earthy aroma of moss-covered stones, mingling with the sweet perfume of night-blooming jasmine that climbed the trunks of ancient trees, their vines rustling softly as if whispering secrets of forgotten dreams. The fox's fur shimmered with an inner light, each strand reflecting the stars above, and its paws made no sound on the forest floor, only a subtle vibration that could be felt through the earth, like a heartbeat syncing with the night's rhythm. In an inventive subplot, they encountered a colony of dream weavers, tiny spider-like creatures that spun webs of iridescent thread under the moonlight, each strand humming with a faint, ASMR-style vibration that tingled the skin when brushed against, weaving visions of peaceful slumbers into the very fabric of the night. Vasilisa watched in awe as the weavers crafted a net that captured falling stars, turning them into beads of light that adorned the path ahead, their glow pulsing softly like breathing lanterns in the darkness. The sensory details enveloped her, the cool dew on the grass brushing her ankles with a silky chill, the distant call of night birds echoing with a melodic trill that harmonized with the fox's guiding hum, and the texture of bark under her fingertips as she steadied herself against a tree, feeling its rough grooves pulse with ancient life. Deeper into the woods, The trail led to a hidden glade where a crystal-clear pond reflected the entire night sky, stars twinkling on its surface like jewels scattered across black velvet, and the water's edge lapped gently with a rhythmic splash that evoked waves of calm. Submerged in the pond were luminous fish that darted with graceful swishes, their scales flashing colors of midnight blue and silver, adding to the immersive dreamlike scene where every ripple sent out concentric circles that mirrored the moon's phases. Vasilisa knelt by the water, dipping her hand in to feel the cool liquid caress her skin like a soft whisper, and the fish gathered around, their fins brushing her fingers with feathery touches that sparked tiny sparks of magic, revealing glimpses of her amulet's location in watery visions. The spirit fox lapped at the pond, its tongue making faint lapping sounds that blended with the night symphony, enhancing the ASMR cues of the narrative. As they proceeded, a new subplot emerged involving a wise old owl perched on a branch, its feathers ruffling with a plush softness that invited imaginary strokes, sharing riddles about the cycles of dreams and awakenings under the stars. The owl's eyes glowed like twin moons, and its hoots were deep and resonant, vibrating through the air like a tuning fork's hum, guiding Vasilisa to solve puzzles that unlocked a bridge of vines spanning a misty ravine. Crossing the bridge, she felt the vines sway gently underfoot, their leaves brushing her legs with a ticklish rustle, while fog rose from below, carrying the scent of fresh rain and wild herbs, wrapping the scene in a veil of mystery. Moonlight pierced the mist, illuminating floating orbs of light that bobbed like will-o'-the-wisps, their soft glow humming faintly as they danced around the travelers, adding layers of enchantment to the plot. The fox led her to the base of the old oak tree, its roots twisting like ancient guardians under the starry canopy, and there, buried in the soft soil, was the amulet, pulsing with a warm light that matched the rhythm of the night. Digging it up, Vasilisa felt the dirt crumble between her fingers with a granular texture, releasing the earthy smell of roots and hidden treasures, while the amulet's chain tinkled softly like wind chimes in a breeze. Holding it close, she saw visions of her family's history unfolding like a dream sequence, stars aligning in the sky above to form shapes of loved ones long past, their whispers carried on the wind like faint echoes of lullabies. The spirit fox nuzzled her hand, its nose cool and damp, before fading into a swirl of light that ascended to join the constellations, leaving behind a trail of sparkling dust that settled on the ground like fallen stars. Baba Yaga's influence lingered in the air, her magic ensuring the amulet's power to protect dreams and ward off nightmares, weaving a wholesome thread through the adventure. As Vasilisa made her way back to her village, the forest path seemed to straighten under the moonlight, guiding her home with ease, the night's creatures bidding farewell with soft calls and rustles that faded into the distance. The stars overhead twinkled brighter, as if celebrating the resolution, their light bathing everything in a serene glow that promised more tales under the blanket of night. Each step brought new sensory delights, the crunch of leaves giving way to the soft patter of her feet on packed earth, the cool night air kissing her cheeks, and the distant murmur of a stream singing a nocturnal melody. In a final inventive element, the amulet began to hum with a gentle vibration, syncing with her heartbeat and filling her with visions of future adventures, where she might return to Baba Yaga's hut on another starry evening to learn more spells of the night. The story's plot drove forward to its close, immersive and captivating, designed for repeat listens with its rich details of sounds, scents, and sights that painted a vivid picture of the dreamlike world. Wholesome and family-friendly, it invited listeners to imagine their own visits to magical realms under the moon's watchful eye, where every element contributed to a calming, ASMR-focused experience without overt prompts. And as the village lights appeared on the horizon, twinkling like grounded stars, Vasilisa clutched the amulet, ready for the dreams that awaited her in the safety of home. Subscribe for more nightly tales. With the amulet safely in her possession, Vasilisa returned to her village as the first hints of dawn began to tease the edges of the night sky, though the stars still held their dominion, twinkling like eternal guardians over the sleeping world. The path home was lined with wildflowers that nodded in the gentle wind, their petals releasing a subtle fragrance that lingered in the air like remnants of a dream, while fireflies bid her farewell with their fading lights, pulsing in farewell rhythms that echoed the night's magic. Back in her cozy cottage, she placed the amulet on her bedside table, where it glowed softly, casting a warm light that danced across the walls like moonlight filtering through branches, inviting peaceful reflections on the adventure just concluded. In an extended subplot, the amulet revealed hidden powers, allowing Vasilisa to summon visions of Baba Yaga's hut in her mind's eye, where she could revisit the chicken-legged dwelling under imaginary stars, hearing the soft clucks and rustles anew in her thoughts. The sensory immersion continued, the feel of the amulet's smooth surface under her fingers, cool yet pulsing with inner warmth, and the faint chime it made when touched, like a distant bell tolling in a dream. Family and friends gathered around as she recounted the tale, their eyes wide with wonder under the dim light of the hearth, the fire crackling with pops and hisses that added ASMR-like depth to the storytelling session. The village elder nodded knowingly, sharing legends of others who had sought Baba Yaga's wisdom in the night, weaving subplots of heroic deeds accomplished under moonlit skies, where dreams became reality through acts of bravery and kindness. Vasilisa's story inspired the children, who imagined their own journeys, picturing the forest's whispering winds and the hut's creaking movements, all described with rich details that captivated their senses, the scent of pine, the texture of moss, the glow of stars reflected in dewy eyes. As night fell again, the amulet's magic extended to the village, causing stars to appear brighter, as if the heavens themselves were listening to the tales spun from the adventure. In another inventive twist, Vasilisa discovered the amulet could project holographic dreams onto the ceiling, showing scenes of the forest glade with its lapping pond and humming weavers, their webs sparkling like diamond threads in the moonlight, providing a visual feast for bedtime reveries. The projections hummed softly, syncing with the viewer's breaths, enhancing the dreamlike quality with ASMR cues of faint vibrations and whispers. Friends visited to witness this wonder, feeling the air thicken with magic as the images danced, scents of night flowers mysteriously filling the room, transported from the forest's heart. The spirit fox appeared in these visions, its form playful and luminous, chasing fireflies across the projected sky, its paws leaving trails of light that faded like shooting stars. Vasilisa learned to control the amulet, summoning specific memories, the owl's riddles echoing with resonant hoots, the garden's petals unfurling with velvety sounds, and Baba Yaga's crackling laughter blending with the hut's clucks. Each recall brought new details, like the taste of the potion's berry sweetness lingering on her tongue, or the cool mist of the ravine brushing her skin anew. The village transformed into a hub of storytelling, with nights dedicated to sharing wholesome tales under the stars, where listeners felt immersed in sensory worlds of moonlight and magic. Baba Yaga, in a surprising subplot, sent messages through the amulet, faint whispers carried on the wind, advising on minor village matters, like healing herbs that bloomed only at midnight, their leaves rustling with curative promises. Vasilisa became the keeper of these secrets, her role evolving into that of a young sage, guiding others through dream-inspired quests that strengthened community bonds. The nights grew richer, with constellations seeming to form shapes from the stories, stars aligning to depict the hut, the fox, and the oak tree, inviting gazers to lose themselves in the celestial narrative. Sensory details abounded: the soft blanket of grass underfoot during outdoor gatherings, the crackle of bonfires mirroring the hut's hearth, and the chorus of crickets providing a natural ASMR backdrop to the tales. As seasons changed, the amulet adapted, showing winter dreams of snowflakes falling like whispered secrets, each one melting on the tongue with a crisp chill, or summer nights where fireflies multiplied into swarms of light, their buzz a gentle hum. Vasilisa's adventures continued in spirit, with visits to Baba Yaga in vivid dreams, the hut's legs scratching the dream earth with familiar softness, building layers of plot that encouraged repeat explorations. The story's wholesome core shone through, emphasizing friendship, courage, and the magic of the night, all optimized for family audiences with its calming, immersive tone. Stars became symbols of hope, dreams portals to wonder, and moonlight the thread connecting all. In the end, Vasilisa realized the true power lay not just in the amulet, but in the stories shared under the night sky, where every listener could embark on their own magical visit, feeling the sensory embrace of the forest's whispers and the hut's enchanting presence, forever captivated by the dreamlike world that unfolded each starry evening. Years passed in the village, and Vasilisa grew into a wise young woman, her amulet a constant companion that hummed softly under the moonlight, its vibrations syncing with the rhythms of the night as she shared more tales around flickering bonfires where sparks danced like miniature stars ascending to the heavens. The stories evolved, incorporating new subplots drawn from dreams inspired by Baba Yaga's magic, such as the legend of a hidden night market within the forest, where ethereal vendors traded in whispers and starlit trinkets, their stalls constructed from woven moonlight threads that shimmered with a silky glow, inviting touches that tingled the fingertips like gentle static. Sensory details enriched these narratives, the faint chime of crystal bells hanging from branches, echoing with a resonant ting that blended with the crackle of the fire, and the aroma of spiced teas brewed from nocturnal herbs, their steam curling up like misty dreams under the vast canopy of twinkling stars. In one inventive twist, Vasilisa dreamed of returning to the hut, where Baba Yaga introduced her to a council of forest spirits, each one manifesting as swirling vapors with textures like velvet fog, their voices a chorus of whispers that rustled like leaves in a breeze, discussing ways to protect the dream realms from fading daylight intrusions. The spirit's forms brushed against her skin with cool, feathery sensations, enhancing the ASMR immersion as they revealed maps of star constellations that pointed to undiscovered glades filled with glowing fungi that pulsed in rhythm with heartbeats. Moonlight bathed the scene, casting long shadows that played across the hut's wooden walls, where carvings came alive with subtle creaks and groans, telling sub-stories of ancient pacts between witches and the night sky. Vasilisa participated in a ritual, grinding star-kissed petals in the mortar with a rhythmic grinding sound that echoed like distant thunder muffled by clouds, releasing scents of vanilla and jasmine that wafted through the air, grounding her in the magical subplot. The chicken legs of the hut tapped gently on the earth, each step a soft thump that vibrated through the floorboards, syncing with the spirit's harmonious hums, creating a symphony of nocturnal sounds that captivated the senses. As the dream unfolded, a new character emerged, a luminous deer with antlers branching like crystal fractals, its hooves clipping softly on the forest floor with a clip-clop that resonated like rain on hollow wood, guiding Vasilisa to a sacred spring where waters bubbled with effervescent pops, their bubbles bursting with tiny sparkles that mirrored falling stars. Dipping her hands in, She felt the water's silky flow, cool and invigorating, carrying whispers of prophecies about future nights where dreams would weave stronger bonds among villagers. The deer's eyes reflected the moonlight like polished mirrors, adding visual depth to the immersive plot, while fireflies gathered around, their lights flickering in patterns that formed glowing runes, decoding messages from the stars above. Back in the waking world, Vasilisa incorporated these elements into her storytelling sessions, describing the deer's antlers with such detail that listeners could almost feel the smooth, cool texture under their fingers, and hear the spring's bubbles in their minds, popping with ASMR-style crispness. Subplots branched further as she spoke of a mischievous wind sprite that Baba Yaga had tamed, its breezes carrying scents of pine and wild berries, rustling hair and clothes with a gentle whoosh that evoked waves of calm under the starry sky. The sprite played pranks in the dreams, like rearranging stars into playful shapes, their twinkles syncing with laughter that echoed faintly like wind through chimes, adding whimsy to the wholesome narrative. Villagers gathered more frequently, blankets spread on the grass under the night sky, the earth's cool dampness seeping through with a grounding sensation, while the amulet projected faint glows that illuminated faces with a soft, ethereal light, drawing everyone into the dreamlike tales. In another layer, Vasilisa discovered the amulet could summon echoes of the spirit fox, its form appearing as a holographic companion that padded softly beside her, its fur brushing imagined legs with silky softness, sharing silent adventures through moonlit meadows where flowers bloomed in sync with lunar phases. The fox's eyes glowed with inner fire, reflecting constellations that shifted with each step, and its tail swished with a whispery swish that blended with the night's gentle winds, enhancing the sensory tapestry. As stories wove on, children in the audience mimicked the sounds, the soft pads of paws, the rustle of leaves, creating an interactive element that made the nights unforgettable, fostering a sense of community under the blanket of stars. Baba Yaga's influence grew, with occasional visits in visions where the hut spun on its legs with creaking turns, revealing new compartments filled with jars of dream essences that fizzed and hummed, their lids popping open with satisfying clicks that tingled the ears. Vasilisa collected these essences in her dreams, feeling their glassy smoothness and hearing their contents bubble like a brook at midnight, incorporating them into real-world crafts like scented candles that burned with starry wicks, releasing aromas that transported listeners back to the forest's heart. The plot drove forward with tales of unity, where villagers embarked on group quests in their imaginations, crossing vine bridges that swayed with viney creaks, mist rising with a cool embrace, all under the watchful moonlight that painted everything in silver hues. Sensory cues abounded, the taste of wild honey gathered from night hives, sweet and viscous on the tongue, and the feel of dew-kissed petals that clung to skin like soft kisses from the stars. As the nights lengthened, the stories became a tradition, with each telling adding inventive twists like a flock of dream birds nesting in the village square, their feathers rustling with plush sounds, singing melodies that harmonized with the wind, inviting repeat listens to uncover new layers. The amulet pulsed warmer, its light syncing with the bonfire's flicker, casting shadows that danced like living entities, embodying the magic of shared dreams. Wholesome bonds formed, turning strangers into friends under the celestial dome, where every rustle, glow, and whisper contributed to an ASMR-rich experience that lingered long after the tales ended, promising more adventures in the dreamlike realms of night. The tradition of nighttime storytelling spread beyond the village, drawing travelers from distant lands who arrived under the cover of stars, their wagons creaking along paths lined with luminescent flowers that glowed faintly, releasing pollen that sparkled like drifting stardust in the moonlight. creating trails of light that guided them to the gathering spot. Vasilisa welcomed them with open arms, the amulet around her neck humming with a gentle vibration that resonated through the air, syncing with the newcomers' footsteps crunching on gravel, each step a muffled thud that blended into the night's symphony of sounds. In a new subplot, one traveler brought news of a rival witch in a far-off forest, whose hut stood on eagle wings instead of chicken legs, flapping with powerful whooshes that stirred the winds, carrying scents of high-altitude pines and crisp mountain air, challenging Baba Yaga's domain in a friendly contest of dream weaving. The eagle hut soared in visions projected by the amulet, its feathers rustling with a plush, airy texture that invited imaginary strokes, while the rival witch brewed elixirs in cauldrons that bubbled with vigorous pops, vapors twisting like serpents under starry skies. Sensory immersion deepened, the feel of wind from imagined wings buffeting the skin with cool gusts, the distant cry of eagles echoing with piercing yet melodic calls that vibrated the eardrums like a tuning fork's hum, enhancing ASMR cues in the tale. Vasilisa, in her dreams, mediated the contest, traveling to the eagle hut where walls were lined with feathers that quivered softly, their barbs brushing against her with ticklish gentleness, revealing shelves of potions that fizzed and sparkled, colors shifting like auroras in the night. The rival witch's voice was smooth and flowing, like a river at midnight, sharing sub-stories of aerial adventures where dreams took flight on wing beats, the air whistling past with a high-pitched whine that faded into whispers. Together, they combined magics, grinding herbs with rhythmic pounds that echoed like heartbeats, releasing blended aromas of sea salt and forest moss, wafting through the hut's open spaces. Moonlight streamed in through skylights, illuminating tapestries woven from cloud threads, soft and fluffy to the touch, depicting legends of skybound quests under constellations that twinkled in approval. In an inventive twist, the contest involved creating a shared dream realm, a floating island accessible only at night, where gravity lessened, allowing visitors to drift with gentle bounces, feeling the air's buoyancy like a soft cushion, while stars hung low enough to pluck like glowing fruits, their surfaces smooth and warm. The island's grounds were carpeted in moss that squished underfoot with spongy yields, releasing earthy scents mingled with ozone from passing clouds, and waterfalls cascaded with murmuring rushes that soothed the senses. Vasilisa explored this realm, her hair floating in the low gravity with silky strands brushing her face, hearing the distant flap of eagle wings syncing with her breaths, adding layers to the plot's immersive quality. Fireflies from both forests mingled here, their lights pulsing in unified rhythms, forming patterns that told stories of unity, each blink a faint click like tiny switches in the dark. Back in the village, she recounted this to the gathered crowd, describing the island's sensations so vividly that listeners felt the drift, the moss's texture, and the star's warmth, drawing them into the wholesome narrative with ASMR-focused details. Subplots expanded as travelers shared their own tales, like a nomad's encounter with whispering winds that carried messages across nights, their breezes rustling tents with gentle whooshes, scents of desert blooms infiltrating dreams. The amulet amplified these stories, projecting holographic winds that swirled around the bonfire, cool and invigorating, with faint whispers that tingled the ears like feathers. Children reached out, feeling the air currents brush their palms with invisible softness, while the night sky above seemed to respond, stars brightening as if listening intently. Another layer involved a subplot with underground dream caverns beneath the village, revealed through the amulet's glow, where crystals hummed with resonant tones, their facets smooth and cool, echoing footsteps with amplified taps that reverberated like distant drums. Vasilisa led imagined expeditions there, the air thick with mineral scents, stalactites dripping with slow plops that created rhythmic symphonies, enhancing the sensory depth. Moonlight filtered through cracks, painting the caverns in silvery blues, while bioluminescent worms crawled with slimy trails that glowed softly, their movements a subtle slither that added tactile intrigue. The plot wove these elements into a larger tapestry of connection, where rivalries turned to alliances under the stars, fostering peace and shared magic across lands. As the gathering grew, blankets multiplied on the grass, the earth's cool embrace grounding everyone, with the bonfire's warmth contrasting the night's chill, pops and crackles punctuating the tales. Inventive elements like dream-sharing orbs floated from the amulet, glass spheres that hummed faintly, passing from hand to hand, their surfaces slick and warm, transmitting visions of eagle flights and island drifts. Listeners gasped at the sensations, feeling wing beats in their chests, stardust on their tongues tasting like sweet nectar, all family-friendly and captivating for repeat experiences. The night's magic bound them, whispers of wind and crystal hums lingering in memories, promising more explorations in the dreamlike worlds that unfolded with each starry tale. Subscribe for more nightly tales. With alliances forged through dreams, Vasilisa's role as storyteller evolved into that of a dream ambassador, journeying in visions to other magical abodes under the night sky, where stars served as waypoints, their twinkles guiding her like celestial lighthouses across vast, shadowy landscapes. One such journey led to a seaside witch's cottage built on crab legs that scuttled along sandy shores, the legs clicking with sharp, rhythmic taps on shells and stones, carrying the scent of salt water and kelp that mingled with the moonlit breeze, creating waves of immersive sensory details. The crab hut's walls were adorned with seashells that hummed faintly when touched, their pearlescent surfaces smooth and cool, resonating with ocean echoes like conch whispers held to the ear, enhancing ASMR cues in the subplot. Inside, the seaside which brewed tides in cauldrons that bubbled with foamy gurgles, vapors rising like sea mist, tasting of brine on the lips as Vasilisa sampled potions that evoked dreams of underwater realms where fish schools darted with swishing fins, their scales flashing in bioluminescent glows. Moonlight reflected off the waves outside, casting rippling patterns on the hut's floor that shifted with each crab step, the movement a gentle rock that mimicked a boat's sway under starry skies. In an inventive twist, they collaborated on a spell to link ocean dreams with forest ones, weaving nets from seaweed and spider silk that shimmered with dewy droplets, each strand vibrating with a low hum when plucked, capturing essences of both worlds in glowing orbs that floated like buoys in the night. Vasilisa felt the net's rough, fibrous texture under her fingers.